890.
Confirm.
All right, the next rifle here is, let's look at some semi-autos real quick. The AR-15s are actually a real good precision rifle, but they're limited by their cartridge choices. Basically, your AR-15s are going to be 5.56 millimeters, or they do have proprietary cartridges like the 6.8 SPC and some of these other ones like the 6.5s and some of these new proprietary cartridges that do extend the range out quite a bit. But they're a great rifle. They're extremely accurate. Most AR-15s right out of the box, without even messing with them, will be able to shoot 3/4 minute of angle or less, just right out of the box with pretty much any ammo you feed to them. They just the stoner gas impregnation semi-auto styles like this are very, very well suited for accuracy potential. Although they do make the weapon a little dirty, and like we talked about before, there are some issues with the reliability sometimes. In extreme circumstances with this gas impregnation designs, they are very, very well suited for accuracy. This one's a Colt, and it's got a 20-inch free-floated barrel inside aluminum free-float tube there. And this thing shoots like 1/4 minute of angle, this particular rifle. It's actually my wife's rifle now that she likes to use. Let's look at, if you want a little bit heavier of a caliber, I would definitely recommend, if you're actually going to be doing a lot of long-range shooting, and you want semi-auto platform with a lot of accuracy, I would definitely point you towards an AR-10, which is the big brother to the AR-15. It's actually the predecessor of the AR-15, was based on the AR-10, actually. And this is an Armalite here, and this is just a standard. You don't always need to have a rifle with a long, heavy barrel in order to be effective for long range. This is a 16-inch barrel with the skinny contour AR-10 with a collapsible stock, and it does just fine out to 500-600 meters. This is kind of my medium range battle carbine. I did equip it up here with free-floated handguards from Armalite. There is a difference between the Armalite AR-10s and the DPMS AR-10s and your other ones. The Armalites the magazines are different, and there's some other differences in the contour of the action and things like that. So you need to be aware of that. I like the Armalites just fine. That's what I use, but the DPMS 308 caliber AR-10s are actually very, very good shooters. And this one here, this is in a target configuration. This is going to handle a lot nicer if you're going to shoot it more and not carry it around as much or run around. Well, this guy's in pretty good shape. He can carry his rifle around, no problem. So if you wanted my quick opinion on the best semi-auto long-range platform, I would recommend one of the AR-10s. Probably a DPMS with a heavy barrel like this one this guy has here. Very, very good weapon. Very accurate. You're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have to mess with it that much. And they are not going to trash your optics like some of the other rifle options we talked about in our semi-automatic sniper rifle systems video. That forward recoil impulse that sometimes comes with heavy bolts slamming forward in some of the military semi-auto designs. So if you missed that and you're more curious on semi-automatic sniper platforms, be sure to check out the video on that. Okay, here's another rifle. This is a great one for the value. A lot of people ask what's the best value. They want really good precision. They want a full-bore target sniper rifle that does really good with all the stuff you're going to need built right into it. And this is a great choice here. The Armalite AR-30s and the AR-50s. This is Armalite's bolt-action rifle series here. And they're actually built really well. This is here's a picture of an AR-50. Now, the 50 obviously is in the 50 BMG, and the AR-30 is a scaled-down version of this. It's the same basic configuration, same stock style, and same action design, basically, just scaled down with the same muzzle brake even. And the AR-30 is equipped with, I believe it comes in 308 and 300 Winchester Magnum, and then the big one is the 338 Lapua Magnum. So those are the three big choices there, and then the 50 as well. These are really, really good shooters. The 50 is actually a single shot, and it has a match grade chamber. So if you're going to plan on stockpiling like military-grade M33 ball ammo for your 50, that's not really what this rifle is designed for. This has a matched chamber dimensions, so you're probably going to want to, do some work on the neck on your cases if you're using military cases, or buy like match quality ammo. That's what this is designed for. So if you want the best bang for the buck in a 50 and precision is your #1 criteria, this is a great value. This will actually outshoot a lot of rifles that are a lot more expensive. I think they're $2,700, somewhere in that ballpark, maybe $3,000 now, I'm not sure. But the Armalite AR-50 is a great choice. They're very heavy. That's the downfall. These things are heavy to carry around, but they're built very strong. The action is extremely rigid, very good design. It's got a fully adjustable cheek piece. Some of the older models kind of actually sucked with the cheek piece. They had this glued-on rubber thing that would go on this cheek piece part, and it would kind of peel off, and there'd be glue stuck to your face or your beard or whatever, and it was a real pain in the butt. They did redo that last time I went down and looked at one of these. It's like a solid polymer deal, which is way smarter. So it's a good design, and it's fully adjustable, that's a good thing to have. It has the AR-15 style trigger on it, and aluminum stock, which is, I think it's called like a V bedding, which fits the action in there perfectly each time. So you're not going to have any bedding issues at all at this. You're not going to have any issues with stock warpage or anything. It's aluminum, so you're not going to be susceptible to like humidity and temperature changes like a wood stock would have. And this one has a very efficient muzzle brake on the Armalite AR-50. Is very effective. That takes out a lot of recoil. The AR-50 handles pretty good. It's got a fair amount of recoil if you're recoil sensitive. I mean, it tames it down pretty good, but it does still have recoil. And the muzzle blast is actually kind of exhausting if you're not used to that as well. And it's not something you're going to want to shoot a lot every day. It's expensive to shoot, but besides that, the muzzle blast is very hard to deal with. And it can have physiological side effects on you as well. Some guys experience some neurological problems with their eyes and some nerves, and they just can't shoot these things very well because they're the overpressure just is too much for some of the human bodies to handle out there. Now, in the smaller versions, the AR-30 model, those are very good rifles. I think they're $1,700. And if you wanted like a more portable, they're very portable, the AR-30s are. They're not near as heavy as the AR-50s. If you haven't seen an AR-30, I'd say that's a great choice for you if your cartridge criteria was a 308, a 300 Win Mag, or a 338 Lapua Mag. It's a really good rifle for the money. So that's almost hard to beat. The AR-50 is not something you're going to want to lug around, but the AR-30, you're going to have no problem shooting it offhand. It's not really that much heavier than any other rifle, and they're just a great setup. And the muzzle brake on like the 338 Lapua or the 300 Win Mag and the AR-30 is very effective. They recoil like less than a 243, maybe even closer to 223. There's almost no recoil to them things. They're very nice shooters. All right, let's look at a couple of the different custom builds that we've been showing pictures of here. This one is a really nice one. This is a Remington Model 700 Action, and I don't remember if this is a Brux or a Brunton barrel on here, but it's a real good barrel. Most of your premium barrels are going to be very good. So it's you're shaving hairs when you talk about the differences in barrel designs there. Or even the manufacturers. Lilja is a great barrel. Krieger is a great barrel. Brux, Hart, any of those barrel companies are really good. Even Douglas, if you're going to build a rifle, is just fine. A lot of guys poo-poo them because they're so cheap, but the Douglas premium barrels, they'll shoot, half minute of angle too. So, but this one is Remington 700. That's a Macmillan A5 stock. And this is probably a good place to interject and explain a little more about this. We didn't talk much about stock designs in our rifle features videos, but the big thing that makes these Macmillan stocks popular and some of these premium stocks is they're very heavy duty, and they're actually heavy. If you just feel the stock, they're stout. They're really solid. And if you remember our rifle vibrations and harmonics video, rigidity to the entire system is crucial to the overall performance and accuracy potential of the weapon system. So it's not only your barrel rigidity you're looking at the rigidity of the entire thing. You don't want to have any undue flex going on anywhere if you can help it. So the Macmillan stocks are very, very thick and they're solid. So what it does is it cuts down on some of your amplitudes on your anti-node vibration regions inside the rifle. So equipping your rifle with one of these custom Macmillan stocks or some of the other ones, these heavier build stocks, actually does increase the rigidity of your rifle system and does help with the accuracy potential. Another advantage to some of these stocks like this is a fiberglass stock, this Macmillan, is that they're going to be basically impervious to changes in humidity. It's not going to warp like a wood stock would with changes in humidity, which will cause problems for you. And they will be more resistant to changes in temperature as well. So that's another desirable thing about these. You're not going to have a lot of zero shift like you might on, some wood stocks do give you a little bit of change in zero when your humidity or your temperature changes. Some worse than others. It depends on how well it's bedded in there and how free your barrel is inside your channel of your stock. But this particular rifle is a very nice shooter. It's got a nice trigger in it, and with the muzzle brake installed here, this thing shoots like the recoil is very, very little. You can actually spot your round for yourself through the optic when you're shooting downrange. For a 7mm Magnum, that's kind of nice. If you take a closer look at the bolt here, you'll see it has some helical flutes in it. That's kind of a weight reduction deal, and it does make it pretty stylish. And a lot of guys like to use this AR-15 type extractor, you'll notice here. If you look on the front of the bolt there, that's an AR-15 type of extractor, and that really grabs on the rim of the case pretty good. That's pretty popular nowadays. A lot of guys like that. Here's another custom rifle. This is in a 6mm bench rest, which is kind of a small target round. It's a great target shooting cartridge. It's real popular for having a really nice inherent accuracy. And this one is actually built on a surgeon action. And if I remember correctly, this is a Brooks barrel. And this rifle shoots very well. When we took it out to zero it the first time, just the first couple shots before we got to season the bore even, it was shooting very, very well. And I think here's a clip from the video of that. And the recoil is basically, there's nothing there for recoil. Great little rifle for a target rifle. So if you're looking to do a custom build, something like this, a heavy target configuration is totally adequate. You could even use this for hunting. If you're using medium game like deer or something like that, this will work just fine on that. So it's a great rifle. A really good popular match round as well. The cartridge, very, very good prize winner. I suppose I can do a plug for Surgeon while we're at it. This is, we'll show my Surgeon 338 here. And this is one that I use a lot. This is kind of my dedicated long range rifle. My 243 I like to use for medium to long range, like out to 1200. And this Lapua is good for basically as far as you can see. If you're looking to build an extreme long range rifle, then the Surgeon Action's a really good choice. It's kind of a neat action. The reason I chose it is it's a really, really solid design. It's extremely heavy duty. It's all EDM machined out of a solid piece of steel. So your integral recoil lug, it's basically a Remington 700 style design, but it has an integral recoil lug. It's not a separate piece. It's just the same solid piece. You can do a lot of neat things with EDM machining. And it's got 30 minute of angle integral 1913 Picatinny rail scope mount on there. That's the same piece as the rest of the receiver. It's all one solid block. So that adds a huge amount of rigidity to the action. And you got a longer thread engagement for your barrel, which also increases rigidity. The Surgeon XL, which is kind of the large action, has a removable trigger hanger, so you can put in any kind of Remington 700 style triggers that you like. Mine has a jewel in it. And in addition to all that, it has this big heavy-duty side-mounted bolt stop, which I kind of like. It's out of the way so you can accidentally hit that and release your bolt on accident or anything. And it's a really good action. It performs very well. They say that if you just use this action, that you can take a barrel that was shooting, 3/4 minute of angle, and then you put it in this action, and it'll actually cut it down quite a bit. So there is a lot. It's a system. It's not just your barrel that's going to give you good accuracy. It's the entire system, and the action is the foundation of the system. So Surgeon's a good foundation for that. That's my little plug for the day, I guess. I've had a lot of good success with mine. It's a really, really phenomenal shooter. Basically, for your rifle choice for long range, like we said before, if you're hunting, I would recommend a hunting rifle. It's going to be a lot more portable than a target rifle. So if you're doing long-range hunting, go ahead and get a hunting rifle. If you're varmint shooting, again, if you're doing super long range, you got to be mindful that you're going to be using longer bullets to combat, the effects of the atmosphere over longer distances. So varmint rifles sometimes make good choices, sometimes they don't. In the case of my Ruger 243, that M77 VT, that's kind of a varmint configuration, but surprisingly, it's not really supposed to support the 105 grain AMAXs I've been shooting out of it, but they fly very, very well, so sometimes you can get away with it. But something you do want to be aware of with the varmint configuration rifles, if you need something like a military-grade long-range rifle setup, there are military-grade long-range rifles that you can buy. You could buy a Remington M40. You're going to pay a lot of money for something like that. It's going to be as expensive as a custom build, or a M24. You can buy that. A very overlooked category of rifles that's totally suitable for long range is old surplus military bolt actions. They were designed for battle, so they're going to be extremely rugged, way more rugged than you're going to ever require for your hunting purposes. They're going to work just fine for combat applications. You can get them to shoot very, very accurately if they don't already. A little bit of load development and fixing some of the problems with loose screws and things like that. And basically, like we said before, it rests on the gunsmith's ability to properly mount a scope rail on there that's going to work to equip it with optics for you. But the military bolt actions are really good. If you need a sniper rifle or a long-range target rifle that's going to be able to shoot 1,000 meters and you on a really, really tight budget, like if you only can spend $300 on a rifle system, it can be done. I've done it before. You can get a Mosin Nagant or something like that, and you can equip it with a good optic for relatively inexpensive. We'll go through our optics video on that, but you can get a sniper rifle set up for pretty cheap if you go with the military bolt actions, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're actually pretty good. Like I said before, I learned on an 03 Springfield, and that thing was one of the best shooting rifles I ever had. And you don't need to spend $1 million to get a good rifle. So the main moral of the story when we're talking rifle selection is that you have a huge amount of liberty to choose your rifle that you like. Whether it's a Browning A-bolt, or a Mossberg bolt action, or a Remington, or a Winchester, or Savage Ruger, any of those is going to be able to be made to shoot very, very well, accuracy-wise. So what you're going to want to do is select for the features that you like. Look at your mission criteria again. Determine your weight. How much are you going to be carrying this rifle around? You might want a light rifle. If you're going to be shooting the rifle a lot more from a stationary position, like if you're target shooting or if you're varmint shooting or something like that, then a target configuration rifle is going to work just fine for you. So go ahead, and this is kind of a fun one for you to select, but anything you choose is probably going to be just fine. And if you do run into bugs and the thing does not shoot as straight as you want it to, like we said in the harmonics video, that can be fixed. So not to worry your little heart or anything. When we get to our optic selection, it's not going to be that way. We're going to have to be very, very picky with our optic selection. So out of all the different long-range equipment we've been talking about, and we'll be talking about peripheral equipment before we're done here too, is your rifle equipment, although it's the foundation of the system, rifle technology has basically advanced to the point to where it's very, very hard to determine major differences between your different brands. You're all using modern electric furnace steel when they build these. They're all machining to very, very tight tolerances. And a lot of these different brands are actually made by the same manufacturers. They just stamp different names on them. in a lot of cases. So a brand name is not something to get too wrapped up in when you're talking about rifle selection, because the technology has basically evened the playing field. They've been building rifles for a long time now. So whether you pick up a Stevens Model 200 for just a couple $100 at the store, or you spend $3,000 on a HS Precision, the differences between the actual real world performance between those two different rifles is not that huge of a margin. And you could actually probably tune the really, really cheap rifle to shoot almost as good, if not just as good, or even better in some cases, than some of your real expensive rifles. So mainly, you want to make sure you have the right cartridge for the mission, a rifle that's in that cartridge, obviously, and then you want to make sure that the barrel twist rate that comes with that rifle is going to be able to stabilize that bullet effectively. So that's kind of the fence you need to stay inside when you're choosing your rifle. The rest of the stuff totally depends on your particular mission and what you need to have, you know, your weight and whatnot. So go ahead and, do a lot of research. We're not going to get in much more detail on rifle selection in this video series. Again, like I said, we're going to spend more of our time actually once we get going here and we get past all the selection stuff on the long-range application and the skills required to get your rifle to shoot where it needs to shoot. So if you got an old rifle laying in the gun cabinet and a decent cartridge, odds are that thing's going to go out past 1,000 meters and be deadly accurate. So don't get too worried about choosing the wrong rifle. Whatever you end up getting will probably work fine. Just make sure you got a twist rate that's going to accommodate a heavy bullet and you'll be fine. All right, this next video I plan to do is optic selection. This one's going to be very, very, very important. You can spend $5,000 on a custom rifle setup and put the wrong scope on there, even if it's a really good make scope. You could get the wrong kind of Night Force or the wrong kind of Swarovski or whatever, and you could put it on there, and if you didn't choose the right features on your optic, it's going to be useless as tits on a board, as the old saying goes. You need to choose for the right features, and that's what we're going to cover next. So don't miss the next video when it comes out. And until then, happy hunting with your rifle selection.
Tears to my eyes in the yellow haze of the new rising sun. I recall the days when the feeling was warm. I can see the morning tapestry being torn in two. Oh, you got it.